Hello and welcome to Indus News live from Islamabad. I am Munib Hamid with the news of this hour. Let's begin with the top stories first. The United States says it is ready to review key sanctions against Iran if it comes into compliance with the 2015 nuclear deal. Talking to reporters, State Department spokesperson Ned Price said Washington will only consider lifting curbs that are related to the nuclear issue. This comes a day ahead of the Europe-led indirect talks aimed at salvaging the nuclear accord. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov is arriving in Pakistan today on a two-day official visit. In a statement, Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi said the ties between the two countries are taking a new turn, especially in economy and defense. The Foreign Minister said both countries are playing their role in the Afghan peace process. Ukraine's military says two of its soldiers have been killed by pro-Russian separatists in the eastern Donbass region. Meanwhile, Russia has warned the US of consequences over its provocative, coordinated policy in the region. Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov's statement comes after Moscow and Washington held contacts on the Donbass situation. Earlier, the United States, Britain, the European Union and NATO countries expressed support for Ukraine. Israel's President Reuven Rivlin has selected Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to form a new government after an inconclusive election. Netanyahu, who is Israel's longest-serving leader, now faces the tough task of enlisting allies for a governing coalition. Under law, Netanyahu will have 28 days to form the government, with the possibility of a two-week extension. India has reported nearly 97,000 new COVID-19 infections and 446 deaths in the last 24 hours. Meanwhile, Pakistan has registered over 100 COVID-19 deaths and nearly 4,000 cases overnight. In Pakistan, on-campus classes for students till grade 8 in districts affected by the coronavirus will remain suspended till 28th of April. While globally, the virus has claimed over 2.8 million lives and infected over 131 million others. And in football, Barcelona beat Real Valladolid 1-0 in their Spanish La Liga face-off. Ousmane Dembele's dramatic late winner gave Barca a huge boost in their title challenge. Barca are now in second place with 65 points, only one behind leaders Atletico Madrid. Well, these were the top stories. News in detail after a short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now let's have the news in detail. The United States says it is ready to discuss sanctions relief with Iran if it comes into compliance with the 2015 nuclear deal. This comes a day ahead of the Europe-led indirect talks that are aimed at salvaging the nuclear accord. State Department spokesperson Ned Price said Washington will only consider lifting curbs that are related to the nuclear issue. Talking to reporters, Price said the United States will not entertain any unilateral concessions to induce Iran to a better place. He said the aim of the talks in Vienna is to set this stage for a mutual return to compliance.
We don't underestimate the scale of the challenges ahead. These are early days. We don't anticipate an early or immediate breakthrough, as these discussions we fully expect will be difficult. But we do believe that these discussions with our partners, and in turn our partners with Iran, is a healthy step forward.
Now, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov is arriving in Pakistan today on a two-day official visit. Islamabad says during his stay, Lavrov will call on Prime Minister Imran Khan and Army Chief General Qamar Javed Bajwa. In a statement, Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi said the ties between the two countries are taking a new turn, especially in trade, economy and defense. The foreign minister said both countries are playing a vital role in the Afghan peace process. He noted the two states want to take forward the North-South gas pipeline project. Qureshi said Islamabad will also put forward its concerns regarding India during the meet. Moving on now, Indian troops have arrested several youths, including 2 women in occupied Jammu and Kashmir. The people were targeted during violent cordon and search operations in different areas of the territory. Meanwhile, another Indian soldier has committed suicide in Srinagar. At least 499 Indian troops have killed themselves in the occupied territory since January 2007 to date. Now, India has reported nearly 97,000 COVID-19 cases and 446 deaths in the last 24 hours. Many Indian states have asked Prime Minister Narendra Modi to widen the vaccination drive following a surge in infections. Globally, the virus has claimed more than 2.85 million lives and infected 131 million others. More about the coronavirus in this report.
Nations' fight against the COVID-19 pandemic goes on with controversies around the vaccines. Mexico's president says he will not be taking the COVID-19 vaccine, arguing that he still has sufficient levels of antibodies in his system following his bout with the virus earlier this year. Meanwhile, a U.S. judge has dismissed a lawsuit accusing the World Health Organization of gross negligence in responding to the pandemic. Washington has named former U.S. Aid Administrator Gail Smith as the coordinator for global COVID-19 response. Smith said the U.S. would assume global leadership to respond to present and future health crises.
Our challenges now are 2. First, to shorten the lifespan of a borderless pandemic that is destroying lives and livelihoods all over the world. And the second is to ensure that we can prevent, detect, and respond to those future global health threats we know are coming.
New Zealand's Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern says quarantine-free travel with Australia will start on April 19th. Meanwhile, Australia said it has not yet received more than 3 million AstraZeneca doses amid export curbs by the European Union. Over in Europe, German authorities warned that the country needs a bridge lockdown. This could include further restrictions until the vaccine rollout is at a later stage. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has given a green light for all businesses to reopen across the country from next Monday.
And the net result of your efforts, and of course with the vaccine rollout, is that I can today confirm that from Monday the 12th of April we will move to step 2 of our roadmap. Reopening shops, gyms, zoos, holiday campsites, personal care services like hairdressers, and of course beer gardens and outdoor hospitality of all kinds.
Meanwhile, in Bangladesh, at least 3 people are in critical condition after being shot by police during a protest over COVID-19 restrictions.
Now, in Pakistan, authorities have decided to suspend the classes of grade 1 till 8th until Eid in 13 hard-hit cities of Punjab province. Meanwhile, the exams for classes 9th through 12th will be conducted as per the schedule. The Punjab government says the decision will be reviewed in 2 weeks. Pakistan reported nearly 4,000 new cases and 103 deaths from the virus overnight. This was the highest single-day toll since December. 88 fatalities were recorded in Punjab, the highest increase since the pandemic began. The death toll in the country is now approaching 15,000. Now, Russia says it opposes sanctions against the junta in Myanmar, terming them extremely dangerous. A Russian Foreign Ministry spokesperson said such policies would push the Burmese towards a full-blown civil conflict. In a statement, the spokesperson said a course towards threats and pressure against the Myanmar military has no future. Meanwhile, anti-coup demonstrators carried out a red paint strike in Myanmar's biggest city of Yangon. Protesters tossed red paint into the streets, representing the blood of hundreds killed by the troops. According to an advocacy group, security forces have killed more than 570 people in protest against the February 1st coup. Now, China's Navy says its carrier group is exercising near Taiwan and such drills will become regular. This comes after Taiwan said the Chinese Air Force intruded into the island's defense identification zone. China's Navy said the aim of the ongoing exercises is to enhance forces' capability to defend national sovereignty. It said the carrier group is led by the Liaoning, which is China's first aircraft carrier put into active service. Earlier, Taiwan's defense ministry said it has a full grasp of the situation and is handling it appropriately. Now moving to Nigeria, where more than 1,800 inmates have escaped from a prison in the southeastern town of Owerri after it was attacked by gunmen. Officials said attackers used explosives to blast the administrative block and entered the prison yard. Police said the gunmen carried rocket-propelled grenades, machine guns, explosives and rifles. President Muhammadu Buhari has called the attack an act of terrorism carried out by anarchists. Police have blamed the banned separatist group, the indigenous people of Biafra, for the attack. But a spokesperson for the group has denied involvement. Now, Jordan's Prince Hamza has pledged allegiance to King Abdullah bin Hussein after mediation by the royal family. This comes 2 days after he was placed under house arrest after being accused of involvement in an attempted coup. In a letter, the prince placed himself at the monarch's disposal and vowed to remain committed to the constitution. He said the interests of the homeland must remain above every consideration. The king's efforts to protect Jordan and its national interests must be supported. The former heir denies the allegations of conspiracy. Now, Israel's President Reuven Rivlin has selected Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to form a new government after an inconclusive election. Netanyahu, Israel's longest-serving leader, now faces the tough task of enlisting allies for a governing coalition. Under the law, he will have 28 days to form the government with the possibility of a 2-week extension. Rivlin made the announcement after consultations with political parties on granting the mandate. Netanyahu received more endorsements than his challengers, leading to the president's televised announcement. Now, Ukraine's military says 2 of its soldiers have been killed by pro-Russian separatists in eastern Donbass region. It comes as Moscow and Washington held contacts on the Donbass situation. Russia warned the United States of consequences over its provocative, coordinated policy in the region. In a statement, Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov said Moscow has observed more provocative behavior of Kiev and its Western benefactors. Kiev says Russia has been building up its forces near Ukraine's eastern borders in recent weeks. However, the Kremlin says Russian military movement posed no threat to Ukraine or anyone else. Earlier, the United States, Britain, the European Union and NATO countries expressed support for Ukraine. Now, still in Russia, jailed Kremlin critic Alexei Navalny has been moved to a sick ward with symptoms of a respiratory illness. Navalny has also been tested for coronavirus after he said he had contracted a high fever and cough. In a social media post, he claimed a 3rd person out of 15 in his unit had been hospitalized with tuberculosis. Navalny has accused prison authorities of depriving him of sleep and refusing to give him proper medical care. He has been on a hunger strike, and his team said he had already lost 8 kilograms even before the strike. Now moving on to the U.S., Minneapolis police chief says kneeling on George Floyd's neck violated the department's restraint policy. At the murder trial, Medaria Arredondo testified Derek Chauvin's conduct was against police ethics. Talking to jury, Arredondo said Chauvin did not follow his training, which emphasizes the sanctity of life. Arredondo said the use of force should have ended once Floyd stopped resisting. He added Chauvin escalated the situation even as Floyd fell unconscious.
When Mr. Floyd was no longer responsive and even motionless, to continue to apply that level of force to a person proned out, handcuffed behind their back, that in no way, shape, or form is anything that is by policy. It is not part of our training, and it is certainly not part of our ethics or our values.
Well, the 19-year police veteran Chauvin has pleaded not guilty to charges of murder and manslaughter. Now, moving to Venezuela, which says it has created a special military unit for an area on its border with Colombia. The region has been marred by clashes between troops and illegal armed groups since last month. Venezuela's Defense Minister Vladimir Padrino Lopez said 8 soldiers have been killed and 34 others injured in the fighting. In a press conference, Padrino said security forces have killed 9 members of the armed groups. He said 33 people are being prosecuted by the military justice system. The minister said Caracas will not allow criminals or drug traffickers to come to the Venezuelan territory. More news coming up in this news bulletin after a short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now, China has reported an outbreak of African swine fever in the northwest Xinjiang region. In a statement, China's Agriculture Ministry said the outbreak occurred on a Xinjiang farm with 599 pigs. It said 33 pigs were infected while 6 of them died. It added that the remaining live pigs in the affected area have been culled. Now, the death toll from the floods and landslides in Indonesia and East Timor has risen to over 150. Search and rescue teams say more than 70 people are still missing in Indonesia. Indonesia's disaster management agency said it had recorded 130 deaths in a cluster of remote islands near East Timor, while the local authorities have also listed another 27 as dead. The National Disaster Agency has warned of extreme weather for next few days. A spokesperson for the agency said authorities are still working to evacuate remote communities and provide shelter. Authorities say they are scrambling to shelter evacuees while trying to prevent any spread of COVID-19. Now, United States President Joe Biden has struck a hopeful note as Americans spent their second Easter holiday under the coronavirus pandemic. Biden appeared on the balcony of the White House with the First Lady and a mask-wearing Easter bunny. Speaking on the occasion, Biden said the virus is not gone, and for the second year in a row, most will be apart from their families and friends. However, the president quoted the scripture saying the joy is almost here.
We will rebuild our nation. We will re-engage and reimagine what we can be. We'll remember that with faith, hope, and love, anything is possible. And we look forward to next year when the White House will ring with joy of the season once again, and there'll be an Easter egg roll, God willing.
Now, the U.S. Supreme Court has handed Alphabet Incorporation's Google a major victory in a copyright case. The top court ruled that Google's use of Oracle's software code to build Android operating system did not violate federal copyright law. In the ruling, the judges overturned a lower court's ruling that termed Google's move unfair. The decision spares Google of a potentially massive damages verdict as Oracle sought over $8 billion. The two tech giants have been feuding since Oracle sued for copyright infringement in 2010. Oracle accused Google of plagiarizing its Java software, but Google said it only used elements of the code needed to run a program. Now, recent research says that marine life near the equator is rapidly shrinking due to climate change. Scientists warned that this may result in the destruction of the tropical marine ecosystems. Let's find out more in this report.
While Cuba's marine life has been severely affected by overfishing and pollution, global warming is also taking a large toll on it. A recent research published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences has left scientists concerned about the future of the tropical marine ecosystems. The study finds that the total open water species of the equatorial marine zones worldwide declined by about half between the years 1970 and 2010. During this 40-year time period, sea surface temperatures in the tropics rose nearly 0.2 degrees Celsius.
I think that is something that's concerning because the time period that they're looking at is actually not that long. I mean, if you're looking at geological history where biodiversity patterns or species evolution is taking place and biodiversity changes are taking place. So in a geological history, this is a blimp. So it's just a wink of an eye. And to see such rapid changes or such changes occurring so rapidly is something that's astonishing, I would say.
Marine species like fish are migrating to cooler areas in large numbers amid the increasing temperature in the tropical zones. However, moving is not an option for the species attached to the seafloor, such as corals and sponges. This rapid shift of fleets of fish and other swimmers to more temperate waters could devastate the coral ecosystems they leave behind.
There's a worry that we'll lose species that are important to us. And then the sort of whole food web gets out of whack. And that can lead to changes which are sometimes not welcome.
Cuba opened its first coral reef nursery 4 years ago to repopulate depleted reefs by researching which species coped best with warming. The country is also restoring coastal mangroves, which serve as fish nurseries and shelter.
Now, California's famed Carlsbad flower fields are in full bloom and wowing visitors with their bright and beautiful colors. Let's find out more in this report.
The flower fields near San Diego showcase more than 70 million flowers. They create an annual spectacle when the flowers bloom, drawing visitors from across California and beyond. The attraction was closed for most of 2020 due to pandemic-related restrictions.
I am so happy we're open again. After last year, it was very difficult on all of us. It takes about 9 months to get to this stage. So last year we were 9 months in and we had to mow the crop down.
Luckily for this year's visitors, plummeting coronavirus cases and California's move to the orange tier from the red tier of lockdown restrictions meant the fields could once again welcome visitors.
I've never seen anything like this before. I'm from Georgia, and we have, fields of all kinds of things, but I've never really been this close to a field of flowers. So it's really cool to be out here and see all of this. And everything's so neat and organized and pretty. Yeah, love it.
The Carlsbad flower fields are also a working farm with the blooms ending up in florists and supermarkets. They are open to the public until 9th of May.
Now, in business stories, the total market value of cryptocurrencies has surged past $2 trillion mark for the first time. The doubling in about 2 months follows surging institutional demand. Bitcoin's worth alone is more than $1 trillion after its price more than doubled in 2021. The next 5 biggest cryptocurrency coins share a combined value of $422 billion. The institutional investors have been dabbling in cryptocurrencies as a way to boost returns on cash. Earlier, Tesla Incorporation poured $1 billion of its reserves in Bitcoin and also began accepting it as a payment for cars. The European Commission has approved a French proposal to grant $4.7 billion to recapitalize virus-hit Air France KLM. Executive Vice President Marguerite Vestager said the airline will give up to 18 slots per day at Paris-Orly Airport to a rival carrier. The EU executive said France will have to present an exit strategy for the airline within 12 months, unless it has reduced the stake to below 25% by then. She said Air France KLM will be banned from paying dividends and non-mandatory coupon payments. Meanwhile, European markets have advanced as trading resumes after the Easter holiday. Positive economic data in the US and China has boosted global sentiments. FTSE in London is leading in gains by rising well above 8%. Frankfurt's DAX has added close to 8%. FTSE MIB in Italy and the Pan-European Stock 600 edged up more than 0.5% each. CAC 40 in Paris also advanced just above 0.5%. Now let's have a look at how the weather is doing around the globe. And that is all for now. For the latest updates, you can follow us on social media at Indus.News.